How's it going, guys? My name's Jake, you're watching Meat Sauce, and today, we're going to be reviewing my previous camera that I used for this channel. The whole thing that started me with what I wanted to, I wanted to start a YouTube channel and I needed a camera. I tried using my mobile phone and various other things. I thought about webcams and everything, and just none of that shit worked or made sense. So I thought I'll invest in a camera. And that might be the same reason that you're watching this video now, or maybe it's not. I don't fucking know. But the point is that I needed something that was good quality, and the camera that I ended up choosing was this one. This is the RX100m3 by Sony, and it was released about 5 years ago, back in 2014. Now, Sony have been making cameras from all shapes and sizes for fucking years now. So by now you'd think that they have their shit together with creating some pretty good fucking cameras for the photo and film market. Now, I'm gonna point out, I am certainly no camera expert. So if you are, this video probably isn't for you. This is aimed more at people that were in a similar situation as me. They were looking for a way to start their channel. They tried other things and they just weren't working. And they were just looking for a good camera to start their little fucking project off with. So as always, with things that I'm not a professional in, I'm more gonna be talking about just purely the experience that I had with this camera, the things that I liked, the things that I didn't like. And if you want more specs from above and beyond what I go through, then I'll link some really good reviews from websites down in the description below. And yeah, you can find all that shit out through like a really good source. Anyway, moving on. So let's talk features. The main features. This camera sports a 20.1 megapixel CMOS sensor, 1080p full HD recording at up to 120 frames per second. It comes with a 24 to 70mm Zeiss lens with an aperture of f1.8 to 2.8. It has a flip-up screen for easy selfies. It's a winner, that feature. And it also has a built-in flash and a viewfinder. All right, with that out the way, let's get into the few things that I liked about this camera and the few things that I didn't like so much. As I was saying just a moment ago, I love the fact that this camera has a flip-up display. This little thing here, the fact that it just does that, it's life-changing, that shit. It's just super handy. It's so obvious and it's so simple, but it was honestly a major selling point for me. And it's just confusing why so many other camera manufacturers don't include this feature. It makes framing yourself, it's not even a task. It's just, you can see yourself, off you go. Same as when you're taking yourself with your phone, you know where you are in the camera, it's all good. It's unbelievable how that is not a common feature, even if it flips out the side. I know there are cameras that do that, but there's so many that don't do that. And it's just very inconvenient when it can't. So awesome, good job, Sony. The overall quality of the video footage and the photos that come out of this thing are just that they're probably not like, I don't know, maybe we'll rate it out of like a 4 out of 5, I guess. It's certainly not the most stunning thing you're ever going to see, but it is perfectly acceptable. And you really can create some really professional looking footage with this. Like I said, I'm not a photographer. I'm certainly not a videographer, but I do only record videos. So that's my prime thing that I'm looking at when I'm buying my cameras. And the fact that it has HDMI out. It might be micro HDMI, but it's still HDMI nonetheless. And that's really, really handy for if you want to capture your footage directly from the camera rather than saving it to an SD card and all this, like using OBS Studio. That's a really, really, really great feature. And if you want a camera that's just better than a webcam and you want to, let's say you wanted to do some streaming, you've got an Elgato or just some other kind of HDMI capture device, this plus HDMI out is really, really good. They're the three main things that I like. Let's talk about the things that I didn't fucking like so much. Now, these are the battery life. From what I understand, basically every Sony camera has shithouse battery life, and this is no exception. It's Basically, you're going to be lucky to get 2 to 3 hours of photography and recording videos. I'll be surprised if you even fucking got that. It's short. It's a really fucking short time. So yeah, if you're planning on walking around and taking your videos, or you're going to do some outdoors shit, I would suggest buying some more batteries. Now, luckily, it does actually support a charge and shoot type feature. So basically you can charge the camera while you're recording. Now, the funny thing is the USB cable and power supply that they provided with this camera aren't actually powerful enough to power the camera while you're recording. It'll just come up with a message saying that it can't do that, basically. It does work if you, basically any phone or tablet that's been released within the past few years, use one of those instead, and they can actually supply the amps or the volts that are required to power this camera while you're recording. So that's all I used. I used one from one of my old Asus phones, and it worked just fine. So that was handy for me because basically all of my footage is recorded in this room right here. The camera's stationary, so it doesn't matter that it's just plugged in, constantly just running off power. It was a passable feature for me. I was okay, but I can see that becoming super inconvenient for a lot of people. So buy more batteries if you're planning on doing some out and about shit. Next feature that I wasn't, or lack thereof, I wasn't a big fan of, is the fact that it's got no audio input at all. So you can't plug a microphone into this thing. Now, like any camera, the built-in microphones are just shithouse. They're tinny. There's just no detail in the sound. It's just an overall bad experience. This is a test of the microphone on the SONY RX100m3. So it's good enough if you're just capturing some footage at a party or something like that. That's fine, but if you want to do anything professional, basically you're going to have to plug a microphone into another external device, record your audio at the same time as recording footage, sync them up in post, and do it that way. And it's just inconvenient. A mic input would have been really, really appreciated. Don't know, but if some of the newer iterations of this camera, I don't think they still even include a microphone jack. So yeah, something you can get around, but still pretty annoying. And the final issue that I had with this device, this camera, is the autofocus. It was just overall pretty damn slow. That's all I can say about it. It was just real. It could often take in the tens of seconds to focus on something that basically isn't a human face, which again, it's a feature that you can get around, but it's just more inconvenient. In a situation like this, there's just a lot of times I'm sitting in front of the camera holding my hand like this, waiting for it to focus, and then you cut out the focus time later on in post, which is fine, but it's just still like you're wasting so much time just waiting and moving your hand around in different spots, waiting for it to fucking focus. So again, not a huge deal, but just more inconvenient than anything. So why did I decide to get a new camera? Why didn't I just stick with the RX100m3? Basically, I decided to upgrade to the Sony A6300, and that's for two pretty big reasons in my own book. That's basically, so for more control over the focus, and that includes autofocus, and also for the fact that I wanted 4K recording. Although there are issues with 4K recording on this A6300, including overheating, but I'll go through that in further detail when I review the A6300 itself. So basically with 4K plus more control over the focus, I'm able to achieve some much more professional grade B-roll footage. Like for example that you would have seen at the start of this video. It just adds a level of professionalism to your videos that isn't necessary, and there's a lot of very popular YouTubers that can get away without, well, some of them use it like some pretty shitty cameras and they still blow the fuck up. So it's not all just about your equipment or anything like that, definitely not, but it was just something that I wanted personally and something that would make me feel better about my videos and that kind of thing. So that's why. I could have easily just stuck with the RX500m3, but like I said, I was just after something a little bit with a bit more of a pop, I guess. Yeah, so that's basically the only reason why I decided to go with this one. So I guess this brings us to the final question. Should you buy this camera? Especially if this is your first camera or you haven't already got a camera, should you buy this camera? At the time of recording this, you can pick this camera up for about $680 on eBay. That's the cheapest I've seen it so far. And that's a couple $100 cheaper than what I bought it for about 8-9 months ago, whenever I started this channel. Now, you might be thinking that's actually quite a high price tag for a camera that's 5 years old now, since 2014. And I do agree with you, that is an expensive price. And why is it so expensive? My best guess is probably that even today, this camera can quite easily keep up with cameras that are released in the past year or two. In terms of quality and features like the flipping screen, there's many cameras that are released these days that still only achieve 1080p 60 frames per second, and a lot of them don't even have the flip out camera. So it's quite easy to see from that perspective why this camera is worth that little bit extra, and the quality really is very good. Me personally, if this camera was released these days as a brand new camera for $500 to $600, I wouldn't be too concerned by it. So that's probably why it costs that little bit extra. So since 2014, Sony has actually released 3 more cameras in this RX100 line. So there's the Mark IV, the Mark V, and the Mark VI. Basically, from the Mark IV at 899 Australian dollars, introduced 4K video recording at 30 frames per second, as well as super slow motion, which I believe is somewhere up around the 1000 frames per second mode. It says 1080p, but you'll see videos that other people have posted on YouTube of this recording mode, and it's more like it's upscaled video. So from maybe 480p upscaled to 1080p, because the quality does go down, but it does record super slow motion, which is a cool feature if that's the kind of thing you're after. So that's an extra $200 you're paying right there. And you go up to the Mark V, rated at 1,069 Australian dollars, and the Mark VI, which is $1,388. And basically those cameras are all the same, Mark IV through to 6, except there's just iterative improvements on each of the cameras. So maybe the quality might be a little bit better, maybe they can record 4K for a little bit longer, and so on and so forth. So you may find this whole 4K recording time of these later cameras pretty appealing, but the thing to take into consideration is actually the fact that they can only record from 5 to 10 minutes at a time before they start suffering from overheating issues. So basically it'll overheat and you can't record any more footage, or you can, but it'll be drastically reduced of the amount of time that you can record each time. Realistically, even if you have these cameras, you're probably likely to only be recording in 1080p anyway, because 5 to 10 minutes just isn't a realistic amount of time, especially if you're doing this style of video. It's really just not enough time. So you're going to end up recording in 1080p, so you can do infinite recording or until your memory runs out, and that kind of reduces the value of that 4K camera, if that makes sense. So that's why I believe if you're starting off, you don't already have a camera, or if you're more just looking just to save that extra few bucks, I would recommend just go for the Mark III. That's where the best bang for your buck lies, because like I said, you still got 1080p 60 frames per second, and its quality is still really, really, really great. If you've got the money, fuck it, why not? Go for the Mark VI or whatever you want. But if you're looking to save those dollars, yeah, definitely Mark III in my honest opinion. If you're looking to go for a higher resolution like 4K, etc., probably, I don't think a compact camera is the best for this, because they do have such small bodies. They just can't spread the heat as well as a bigger camera can. At this time, I'm not going to really make any great recommendations for if you're looking for that kind of camera. I'm going to do a bit more research myself and go into that further. Like I said, I am actually using the A6300 by Sony, and as you can tell, the quality is phenomenal, and I am recording in 4K 30. However, that does have its own issues, and I'd prefer that before you take that as a recommendation, either go do some more research on that first or wait for my next video. It's up to you, bruh. So guys, at the end of the day, for this price point and for the level of professionalism that this camera here is able to achieve, I would recommend it as a first timer's camera. It is just an overall, all-rounder, good kind of a camera. Yeah. Anyway guys, if you're interested in buying this camera or any of the cameras that I've spoken about in this video, have a look in the description below. I've put a whole bunch of eBay links in there. Those are actually eBay partner links. So basically you can support my channel by purchasing with those links. Now, I will always try and find the cheapest item available and link that. If you can find a cheaper one, let me know in the comments and I'll swap it out, because the point is that I still want you guys to get the best deal. That's the way I would like it. But by using these links, you do help me out because it's a referral and eBay will give me a small, pretty small cut, but it's still a cut nonetheless, and it supports my channel and keeps me motivated and helps me buy more shit to review. Anyway, guys, thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one. Peace. Guys, thanks for watching the video. As always, please put a comment in below if you have any questions. I'll try my best to answer them. Hit that like button. It actually helps a load. Also, you know, if you want to hit the subscribe button as well, that probably helps even more. And if you really want to hit the notification bell button as well, and you'll always get the latest videos from myself. Yeah, thanks for watching. Jake, Need Source. See you in the next video. Have a good one, guys. Bye.